There we go.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the world's best fantasy show right here on 1252 Sports Chicago. I am Tarbill. With me, as always, is my guy, the man, the myth, the legend with the black glasses. Space.
Mostly a myth. Hey, where's Tyler?
Tyler was unfortunately not able to join us this week, but he'll be back with us next week. As always, you can catch us here every Friday at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. How are we doing tonight, Space?
It's been a miserable week. I worked on nip and
Right.
tuck. I had some cataract. It happens, you know what? And I truly was the youngest guy. The eye place I went to was like a meat market. They can only do one eye at a time. And I have one eye. I don't need this. This is for driving because the sun is so bright.
Right.
Aren't you having snow there in Chicago today or tomorrow?
We did have a little bit today. None of it stuck to the ground. It just made it a little slick in the morning on my way to work. It wasn't too bad.
And we were 98 degrees here.
Yeah, well, I wish I was there sometimes, I tell you what.
No, it gets to be boring. I miss that, and I'm going to come back, I promise. But I am going to say, I'm going to rely on you, Mr. Tarbill, for everything that needs to be, because I haven't read a thing. It's only stuff that I heard, and because I can't read. And at the end of the day, I know last week we hit the man. And this week we might as well start talking about Aaron Rodgers. For anybody who hails him, there's no info.
No, you don't know. Right. You won't know until Saturday, probably Saturday afternoon would be my guess, whether he's cleared COVID protocol or not. And even then, is he going to be 100% when he comes back?
Well, did you hear what I heard? I didn't read it. I would have looked it up if I could have read. That I heard a thing that all the players that had COVID, not negative or no thing, that they had the COVID, when they did come back, they didn't perform as well, including Mahomes.
Yes.
That's where the conversation started.
Yeah, I have seen some similar articles, so it'll be interested to see if Aaron and his horse dewormer that he's been taking from the advice of Joe Rogan makes him 100% on game day or not. We'll see.
Most successful podcaster there is. We can't make fun of Joe, but that became famous from making people eat cockroaches and tarantulas. Because for those of you,
amongst other things, yes.
If you haven't seen what made Joe Rogan famous, for you youngsters out there, go on YouTube and do Fear Factor, Fear, Fear Factor, spell it the way you think it should be spelled. And what he makes people do is unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Crazy testaments to what somebody would do for $50,000 in cash.
Well, back then it was worth money. Would you play Rodgers even if they start him Sunday with all these COVID incidents and he hasn't practiced all week? Obviously, he hasn't practiced for 10 days.
I don't know that I would. I would almost stay away from him just out of pure caution of, is he not himself when he comes back? Does 10 days being off away from the facilities, not able to practice, have a little bit of an effect on his timing with the receivers and things like that? I mean, you got to think that chemistry is something that you build day in and day out, and even being away from your guys for 10 days can be significant, even if you are Aaron Rodgers.
Unless one of the players came over and they played catch in his backyard. His backyard's got to be a little bit bigger than mine and yours.
I would think they could socially distance and play catch.
Exactly.
No, he was out in L.A.
No, they said, I heard a thing. They said that wasn't him.
That was not him. I'm just kidding.
Okay,
Did you see the SNL bit that they did about Aaron Rodgers? That was comedic gold, I'll tell you that.
I think I put it up on my Facebook. I mean, and I love, and it'll be the last thing about Rodgers until next week maybe. I love what CeeDee Lamb, the great receiver, the young kid on Dallas. CeeDee Lamb, right? Yeah. And he came out and said, I got a $20,000 fine. And I did whatever, got kicked out of a game. And he lied and broke protocol and only got $14,000. He said, it's not about the money, man. It's about the principle. And he's right. And shame on the NFL. Shame, shame, shame on the NFL for not getting involved. Just like I feel the same way. I said it before about the NBA not getting involved with Kyrie Irving and Ben Simmons. You got to protect your product. You got to protect your product.
At the end of the day, all of these leagues are a business, right? And businesses, to be successful, need their stars. You can't just, I wouldn't consider Ben Simmons a star. I'm not a Ben Simmons fan at all. I think the guy's vastly overrated.
I think he is too, but he's been an all-star for the last 2-3 years. That's why I put him in that category. And obviously Kyrie deserves good Kyrie. There's two Kyries. There's bad Pouty Kyrie, and there's the great one. Now, we're here for football.
Yes.
I don't want to talk about Rodgers anymore. I want to talk about, I'm going to rant because of where I live, of maybe one of the stupidest NFL moves I've ever seen in my whole life, and that's OBJ. Did you think it was a smart move?
I think it was, from the Rams' perspective, I believe it was a smart move.
Why?
Because the Rams are an offensive team that can produce points already. You get a guy like OBJ with the likes of Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods,
and Von Jefferson.
And Jefferson, I think it was a smart move purely from a production standpoint. Where I think they're going to struggle is OBJ's going to want the ball more than he's going to get receptions, just based on volume and the weapons they have.
And by the way, they brought this guy in. The guy doesn't want to be a number one. Cooper Kupp already is going to win the title. I mean, with all his receptions and everything else. There is no reason. Let me ask you a question, just to make sure I have my ducks in a row. Didn't they just get rid of Deshaun Jackson?
Yes, you're not wrong.
Why? Did he cause? I'm out here in LA. I didn't hear anything that he caused problems.
I was going to say, I hadn't heard that he caused issues either, so I'm not sure exactly what the reasoning was behind it.
He wanted out because he didn't want to be the fourth receiver. Because don't forget about Bobby Thigpen or whatever his first name is at their tight end. And, like talk radio out here is all, do you think Stafford will be forced to focus on OBJ? I think OBJ brings that into the locker room. And in 4 weeks, it's going to be problems. 4 weeks.
I would consider OBJ, when it comes to his locker room and off-field issues, I would compare him to a guy like Brandon Marshall, and in the sense that it's the weight of, is he worth keeping on the team for the issues he's going to cause off the field?
And by the way, I said it, I think last week, but if not, I'm going to say it right now. He's a shell of what he was. He was a great wide receiver for 3 years with the Giants. He became infamous for possibly the greatest catch of all time.
Yes.
But the last few years, he's not himself. Has he had an all-pro quarterback and a system like the Rams? No. It'll be interesting to see why he chose not to go to Green Bay.
Hey, just as a Bears fan, I was tremendously ecstatic when I saw he went to LA because he's not going to be in our division. We don't have to play him twice a year.
He's only got a 1-year deal. Okay, we're done with him on that. I recommend don't pick him up if you got a slot in the bottom of your fantasy. Pick him up just in case, watch Cooper Kupp get hurt this week. Then all of a sudden, all bets change. But at the end of the day, I'm wondering what happened to Deshaun Jackson. And by the way, they don't have a backup running back. If you're going to bring in an offensive weapon, Sony Michel, forget about him. He's overdone with it. If you have him on the team, drop him. I heard it today. They don't even care about him. And people are complaining they didn't go out and try to get, even when you have a fan base that complains you didn't go out to get Devontae Freeman. you got an issue at running back. You got a problem. I always say to people, if I'm the normal one in the room, everybody in the room has a problem. If I'm the normal one. So, okay, let's talk about somebody else.
Oh, here's our guy, the mouse chiming in. Green Bay offered him the minimum.
How much did he get from the Rams?
I don't know the specifics of the deal, but I know I want to say it was more than $10 million, and I'm sure Tyler will correct me if I'm wrong.
That's what I'm saying from Tyler. How about Cam Newton getting $10 million?
So since you brought that up, let's touch on that for a minute. How ironic is it that Carolina's came full circle? I mean, they paid Cam Newton's replacement, his replacement's replacement, and now because of bad performance, they're paying Cam Newton $10 million a year to replace a guy that inevitably replaced him down the ladder.
It just proves more than one thing, is that Rivera didn't like him.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But I do also think that he's not the quarterback that he will be, or I'm sorry, he's not the quarterback that he was, and he never will be, is what I'm trying to get at.
Never. Oh, we've saw him.
Here we go. Up to $5 million. So okay, they gave him up to $5 million, and Green Bay only offered him the minimum. I don't understand why they did that. Oh wait, they have a guy named Devontae Adams that they're trying to retain at the end of the season.
They would not have offered the minimum if Aaron Rodgers said. I think they're in the frame of mind. If Rodgers would have said, "Go get him," it wouldn't be the minimum offer. I really believe that.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I think that team's going to do everything they can to cater to Aaron Rodgers because, one, they know that he can be gone after next year, and two,
And
Jordan
if that's
Love
the case,
is
he's gonna
not the
be
guy.
visible. Oh my God. Let's touch on that for a second. Tyler, I hope you're listening and can type in. Think about this week. You've heard nothing about Jordan.
Right.
Nothing. We read. Well, you read. I listen to ESPN all day on the television. You've heard nothing other than the poor guy. And I'm tired about the people who were trying to protect him. It was his first pro game. BS. People didn't talk about the one thing about Jordan Love. He had all preseason where Rodgers he held out or just played his little game, trade me. And it was all Jordan Love with all these people, and they made the most terrible game plan for the guy. And if the guy had an emotion if he would have had an emotion on his face, I would have felt sorry for him.
But he didn't. He just looked lifeless.
Yeah.
On the flip side of that coin, we're not going to be talking about the Bears because they're off this week on the bye, but Justin Fields had a heck of a game.
Yes, he did.
That young quarterback did everything in his possible power to try to rally back and win that game.
So Dan Patrick I was listening to, and he was talking about the Bears will make the biggest mistake if they get rid of Nagy. That's what he said. He was talking about, look at the improvement. He knew what to do with Field since day one. The pressure that he was getting about what's his name, Dalton. How soon we forget. And and people still have to remember, we went past the trade deadline, and we have 3 starting quarterbacks.
For what reason, I don't know.
I have no idea why they wouldn't have gotten rid of Foles. Somebody out there would have needed Foles, right?
Somebody would have taken him on a veteran minimum deal or something. Right. It's the contract is what scares people away because we gave him what, $24 million for
we gave him way too much.
Something like that. Something way too much.
Isn't he one of the highest paid Bears?
He is, and he's standing on the sideline, not even dressing on game day.
They don't dress a third?
They haven't. He's been inactive the last few weeks. I'm not sure why, but that's Here's my thing. If you're the Bears, if you want to keep Matt Nagy, although it's not a decision that I agree with, that's fine. But I would either fire Ryan Pace or move him up a level and bring in a new GM. Because Ryan Pace is horrible in the first and second rounds. He's a great third through last round draft guy, but where he really needs to hit, other than obviously Justin Fields and David Montgomery, would be the 2, maybe Roquan Smith, obviously. So 3, he's had a lot of misses. He was the guy that brought in Kevin White, who was supposed to be the savior of this team at wide receiver, and he never played more than 10 downs in a game.
He would get hurt with the kickoff, and he'd still be on the sidelines. I mean, I thought Kevin White was going to be a big stud. Let's talk a little fantasy. We're taking this opening to our first break. When do we have a break? I can't see my clock.
Let's go ahead and take a break and hear from one of our sponsors here at 1252, Nick and Ivy Brewing.
When we come back, we'll talk about who's in, who's out, who you should be cautious about. And we'll go down the schedule.
Absolutely.
You got the schedule.
We'll be back with you guys in 60 seconds.
Did Nick and I?
Hello, this is Paul from Nick and Ivy Brewing Company. We are located at 1026 South State Street in historic downtown Lockport, Illinois. We are very excited to be partnering up with the Fat Mike Chicago Sports Show, as well as the 1252 brand, because we are one of the few Chicagoland breweries that embrace sports and sports culture. Come in for a fresh brewed beer made right here in Lockport while catching the game of your favorite team. Stay for the live music that we have booked every weekend, or just come for a cozy atmosphere to enjoy a good conversation with a friend, loved one, or complete stranger. Nick and Ivy makes you feel right at home no matter what the occasion is. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook by searching for Nick and Ivy Brewing Company. Visit our website for our up-to-date tap list or to go shopping on our online store at nickivybrewing.com. That's Nikivy brewing.com. Come in today for a fresh brewed beer born and raised in Lockport, Illinois.
Oh, hi. I was just texting somebody.
And just like that, we are back.
You know, right now I'm planning, and Nick and Ivy, listen to me. I'm planning on maybe for all of us to do a get-together on November 26th, the day after Thanksgiving, when you want to get away from everybody in your household. I mean, who wants to be with their family? And even though I do like leftover turkey, but just come on out there and hang for a couple hours, watch a little of the games, and get to know each other in person.
Absolutely.
I know Fat Mike is out of town, surfing and whatever.
He's in Punta Cana.
Having a good old time.
Do you think that Mike surfs?
I think, is it Megan?
Yes.
Yeah, I think Megan, if she wants to surf, will try to get him to try it. Think about this. Think about that Mike going through customs. Just standing there with that look on his face. And the guy at customs, what do you got with? What are you declaring? F you. Okay. Happy honeymoon, a belated, well-deserved honeymoon for Megan.
Absolutely.
Fat Mike went along and probably paid for it, but at the end of the day, that woman deserves a lot of loving. What's the game on your schedule? Who do you want to talk about?
Well, we can just start at the top.
Okay, it's a good way, top to bottom.
We've got Detroit at Pittsburgh coming up first. And what a shit show of a game that's going to be, first of all.
In a way, it might not. Pittsburgh needs to win, especially with the loss of the Ravens last night. The ridiculous loss of the Ravens. What happened to, how come when I play somebody that has that piece of crap quarterback last night, how come when I play him, the guy gets 5 touchdowns, 2 of them running?
Lamar Jackson.
And all of a sudden he gets nothing.
Yeah, that was 10-22 was the final score there. Come on.
What happened? So within this, now Pittsburgh, if they win, they can get a game ahead. Right now, if you have Najee Harris, he'd be my number 1 pick of the week, of player of the week, because they're going to run that guy. Since he is now, but there's one difference. Detroit won't stop because they have no D. They have no D.
And he looked good against the Bears. I mean, the Bears limited what he could do, but he still looked pretty good for a rookie running back. I mean, but that's because he's from Alabama. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. You don't take anybody from Detroit at all. You can play Big Ben. You can play the wide receivers, the tight end. I don't remember his name. It's a weird name. The tight end is really good. And don't forget, they used to be, and when I say they, I mean still younger Ben Roethlisberger teams on the Steelers used to have quality tight ends that would be very important to the offense.
Yeah, you were talking about the tight end. Pat Freiermuth is his name.
There's
very unique last name, but he really showed some developmental steps against the Bears. I mean, he was a lockdown target. Right? Yeah, he had 2 touchdowns, lockdown target.
Pittsburgh can get within a game, I think, of the Ravens for second place. I roll with all Steelers, but my number 1 choice is Najee Harris, and then that tight end with that weird name. Speaking about weird names, it's not politically correct. Okay, but we're not governed by the FCC or whatever, and I'm not like this. I am I've always been liberal, even when people my age weren't, that I don't care. There is a guy, I was watching the Notre Dame game last Saturday. I don't know if you got a chance to watch any of it. Yes, I love watching college football. And
I do as well, but I unfortunately missed that one.
They were playing Navy. One of Navy's linebackers, true story. I'm just going to spell his last name and say, would you not, when you were an adult, change this name legally?
Go ahead. Yes.
F-A-G-O-T. It's the back of his jersey. And that's his name. It's pronounced Fago.
Fago. Okay. Yes, okay. I more than likely would if that was my last name.
And the real spelling of the demeanor name has 2 G's. But still, I have a brother-in-law. True story. His last name is Fagel. Fagel.
Okay.
If my last name was Fagel, I'd pronounce my name Fagel.
Yes.
That's the way I would do it. You ready for his best friend who just passed away? His last name wasn't, they went to high school together. And in roll call, Faggman. Fagman. In roll call,
Okay.
Fagman.
Best of friends, huh?
Okay, I got off track. I apologize. Play Najee Harris. What's next, Terrible?
That's what we do here. That is what we do here. You are
we
fine.
Have fun. We're supposed to have fun.
The next game we got is Tampa Bay and Washington.
Oh,
obviously Tampa Bay takes this one.
But Tampa Bay already, Brown and Gronk are out again. Already announced out, and Goodwin hasn't practiced all week. And he's not going to play if he doesn't practice tomorrow. He's questionable.
Yeah, Godwin is questionable. That's correct. But even then, you've still got O.J. Howard. You've still got Mike Evans. You've got Leonard
I don't
Fournette.
disagree. I'm just letting, for the quality of our show, I'm letting people know who ain't playing. I think
absolutely.
Brady's going to have 4 touchdowns easily. It probably will be a big Fournette game.
That's what I'm thinking too.
I read, and I think it might be on the streamers, I think the Bucs are 13.5-point favorites.
Yeah, I believe that's right.
Have there been a ton of double-digit favorites this year? And
more than any other year that I can remember.
Brady just is going to go crazy on this. I wouldn't. Well, you have to play one guy on Washington.
McKissick, McKissick's injured.
Right. McKissick might not play, or he might be out already. But you have to pay Terry McLaurin. Because for whatever reason, whoever is quarterbacking the Redskins, he always tends to have at least one touchdown pass, and that touchdown's to McLaurin. It's like there's not another receiver on that team.
Yeah, I would agree there. He's the one guy you can't overlook.
Right, so you got to play him. Gibson is done. I mean, as good as he was last year, he hasn't done anything this year.
I would agree. The next matchup that we have is the Dallas Cowboys at in the Atlanta Falcons.
By the way, don't you think it's going to be a high-scoring affair? Like 40 to 30 or, something, both of them in the 30s?
Absolutely.
Atlanta –
I would drive the over on that game all the way.
Yeah, you should find out. I might go halvesies with you. I mean, that game, or what happened last week, is that everybody says everybody's allowed one bad game. You know what?
Yep.
When you play 17 games a year, you're really not allowed. It's sort of like I said to somebody, nothing is perfect. Even my stupid eye surgery, it's not perfect, but it's my eyes. I want it to be perfect. I mean, I don't know.
Right.
What happened to the Cowboys last week? Is that the Dak we're going to see this week? Or do you think, no, run with him?
I think I would run with Dak this week. I think that Dak bounces back in a big way. Historically, we've seen when he has bad losses, he seems to bounce back the next week and kind of have a little bit of a revenge. I don't want to say revenge game. I hate using that term, but just kind of goes out there with a little bit of extra pep in his step and tends to play better. So I would go with Dak Prescott this week. Matt Ryan, I would stay away from him. Matt Ryan's a bottom tier guy. I mean, if you needed him in a pinch, maybe just because he's going to score volume probably this week.
Or if you have somebody who's on a bye.
Right. If you're looking for a streamer, as our guy Tyler likes to call it, obviously Zeke Elliott, tremendous running back. Tony Pollard's a guy that isn't rostered in a lot of leagues, but he's been getting a little bit more volume these last few weeks, and
they're almost doing a timeshare. They're almost doing the timeshare, and you have to play Lamb, and you have to play what's his
Cooper.
name? Cooper. And so you're playing almost everybody on. And then don't forget, if I remember correctly, for the Falcons, isn't their number one defensive guy out, or is it that their number one offensive lineman? Gregory, what's his position?
I can't tell you off the top of my head. I'm not big on Atlanta.
I mean, okay, I'm going to differ from you. I'm big on, for whatever reason, Ryan. But Ryan shouldn't be your starting all-time week-to-week quarterback. This week, if you don't have to play him, I think the Cowboys, like Tarbill said, they come out with a vengeance. I don't like revenge or anything else too, but at the end of the day, they know they got to perform better than they did last week.
They've got something to play for. I mean, they're 6-2 right now. That's a heck of a record. I mean, 6-2. If they finish the season without losing a game, hypothetically, that's an excellent record. So
right.
I think the Cowboys keep rolling. On the Falcons side of the ball, Cordaro Patterson. That guy's just a monster. I mean,
where did people fail? Here's all the thing I want to ask you about him. All these teams have scouts that scout these kids in college. This guy was wasted ridiculously by the Bears. Where'd he go after the Bears? Two other teams. Was he Saints?
He was with the Vikings before the Bears.
And nobody knew that he could be a triple threat. I mean, he should be rostered on 100%. It's just that you can't. What is he listed at? A good question. Like on ours in my league, it's ESPN. You have to have three receivers, three running backs. So is he listed as a running back / wide receiver?
I believe currently he's listed as a wide receiver. Last year when he was with the Bears, he was listed as a running back.
Was he a running back last year with the Bears, or was he listed as a kick returner?
I think he was listed as a running back because they put him in to run those jet sweeps and,
So many of these online fantasy games limit you to positions. And this guy is doing both. I want his value as a receiver. Patterson.
There's our guy right there, Tyler, chiming in. He's both. He's listed as running back / wide receiver. There we go.
I wish he was on my team. And I apologize to him. I apologize to him for the way I felt about him when he was a Bear. I didn't like him.
It was poor coaching.
Yeah.
We've seen it over and over again. I mean, Allen Robinson, although he had, I want to say, around 60 yards by the end of the game against the Steelers last week, you have a number one receiver that you're paying $18 million that you chose not to move at the trade deadline, and he's got less than 400 yards through week 9 of the season. It's unacceptable.
Okay, remember one thing. He chose nobody. Their third string quarterback is their highest paid quarterback, and this guy will never touch the ball. I mean, so this kind of crap, unbelievable. But besides Patterson, would you have any other Falcons? See, I'd play him, and I would play Ryan, and especially what Ty just said.
I would play Russell Gage, and if you're looking for a tight end and Kyle Pitts is available, I'd play him as well.
Okay, so now all of a sudden we got a game going, my friend. We got a game.
Absolutely.
And all of a sudden we're playing them. What's our next game?
Our next game is what I think is going to be one of the matchups of the week, in my opinion. New Orleans Saints and the Tennessee Titans.
Well, Saints, for all of our fans out there, Kamara's out.
Correct. And that's a huge blow to the offense.
Huge when your two quarterbacks are Taysom Hill and what's the other guy? Trevor Siemian, who is listed as the starter. I heard today that he's starting the game. So when you have that, and why they didn't offer $1 million more than the Rams to get Odell. Now that Thomas is out, you still have a playoff that you might be able to make. because
Right.
the NFC, you might have somebody from the NFC go in under 500. That seventh team might be under
Absolutely.
500. And, I don't know why they didn't go after him. So, I mean, you don't play Simeon. You can't
No.
play him.
No.
I mean, and who's their running back now if Kamaro's out? Is that McKissick? What's the guy's name?
Ingram. Mark Ingram.
Oh, that's why they –
He's back home.
Yeah, who's bad makes it seem back home, like there's any loyalty.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the Saints are in trouble. And if you have Saints, you're in trouble. I mean, don't forget, in my league, I went crazy when I had the opportunity to get Jameis Winston.
Famous Jameis.
Yeah, I thought he was on a rock and roll. He didn't play that bad. He had some good games, but I thought I was in seventh heaven. And then, you can't judge injuries, but my God, New Orleans, if they win, the only player you should play besides Ingram is probably the kicker. What's his name? Lutz? Will Lutz?
Their kicker is listed as Johnson right now, so Lutz must be out.
I wonder what happened to Lutz. Okay, and
looking at the Tennessee side of the ball, however.
Well, we don't have Derek.
We don't have Derek Henry.
And by the way, Tennessee is a 14-point favorite. There's another double-digit game, and I would take Tennessee because Tennessee doesn't get enough love.
They don't. Tennessee was a mediocre team for so long that now that they're good, people still aren't believing it.
And they're not getting – they still want to knock them. Tannehill is a top – by the way, Tannehill, for those of you who stay away, we were in a 12-man league. And I don't know how many men are in your league. And you could draft – Tannehill wasn't drafted. But Tannehill is the number 2 paid quarterback in the NFL. And look at his receivers. I mean, the only way you get noticed is by running up the score so ESPN the next morning could say, how about them Titans? And I'm telling you, I think if you laid money down and gave 14, which who doesn't hate giving 2 touchdowns in a pro game? We saw what happened last night. Did you think, would you bet your house that the Ravens would win?
Absolutely.
I mean, my God, I didn't know what I was watching.
I tell you, it really is any given Sunday. But you look at the Titans, they're 7-2. They've won 6 straight, I believe. They've played some tough teams. And who do they have besides Derrick Henry now? They've got McNichols, and they've got a guy who was a stud in the league for years in Adrian Peterson on their team.
Right. And Peterson didn't play bad last year. They need somebody to hold the fort down, and we'll find out from their offensive line. Was it all Derrick Henry, or does the offensive line give them some room to move? But you got to talk about – I just talked about Tannehill being the number 2 paid quarterback in the league, who gets no attention, and his wide receivers, I think, are people DeAndre Hopkins.
No.
Where'd DeAndre Hopkins go to? Why am I spacing out? I can't read. I'm telling you, they've got 2 very good wide receivers in Tennessee, and once in a while, this old man.
They've got Brown, and they've got Hopkins. Jones.
Julius Jones. That's right.
As you like to call him, yes.
I'm Julius Jones, as I like to call him, because I used to love Orange Julius. And aren't their uniforms orange and black when he was a Falcon?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and that's why the name came out. And so whatever. So he's got good weapons for him. And don't underestimate the power of Peterson. They're going to get a 55-point game, so their game leads off on ESPN Get Up on Monday, because they're not getting any recognition. Tannehill doesn't get recognition of his durability and his consistency. Yes, everybody can say it was really easy to hand off to Derrick Henry. What about who was the quarterback before Tannehill that was a piece of crap? and Derrick Henry was not in the league just starting last year when he went crazy and had the great season, and obviously this year until he got hurt. Before Tannehill, they had some bumps, and Derrick Henry, you can only be a little bit better than your team. You can only be a little bit better. And so I'm going Tennessee will win the game by maybe 30 points. They got to get recognition.
30 points.
They've got to get recognition. They got to do like when they used to. They don't do it as much anymore. These college schools love to run up the points because it helps them in the ranking and everything else. Where all of a sudden you see a team beat a poor little team 62-7. And their starters are still playing into the fourth quarter. So I mean, look out for Tennessee this week. Either I'm going to brag about it next Friday. I'm going to apologize. Don't forget, I told everybody Ben Roethlisberger was over.
That you did. We got a question here in the chat from our guy Pig Dog.
I can't read it.
What are you expecting out of D'Ernest Johnson this week? With him apparently being the only running back for the Browns, are you expecting him to have a big day? I think if the Browns' offensive line can hold up just based off of volume, he's a guy that would be worth looking at.
I can't not look, big boy, at when he played a week ago, and what did he have, 150 yards rushing?
Yeah, close to that. It
comes back to, it's not only people, it's not only the running back, it's the line. And does the quarterback have any threat to keep the linebackers back and everything? I think Johnson would have been on my list if I wrote a list this week, as he's going to have, I predict, another 150 yards. They want to shove it up OBJ's rear end, and all they want to do is win. And look at their decisive win last week against the Bengals. And this week, they want to be, we discount the egos of these people that played this game called football. And we discount too much that they make so much money. What does it matter? The only thing that matters to them is winning, because they have everything else. They have all the money in the world. They have, if you've ever seen a picture of Ryan Tannehill's wife, oh my God. Whoa. She is the number one wag, whatever it's called, that I've ever seen in my life. And she was a superstar down there with him in Miami. And look at Tannehill is no different than he was drafted in the first round, than he was playing for the Dolphins, but he sucked for the Dolphins because the situation sucked for him. He goes to Tannehill. But he goes to Tennessee and becomes the second paid quarterback in the NFL. I'm telling you, Tennessee, I love them this week.
Absolutely. Moving on to our next matchup, we've got an absolute mopping of a game. The Buffalo Bills getting their rebound shot against the New York Jets. The Jets are 2-6. Buffalo's 5-3. Josh Allen and company are going to have a heyday in this game. Mitchell Trubisky is going to be in the fourth quarter.
Yes, to have him this week. I mean, at the end of the day, when you look at some of these other quarterback situations, Mitchell Trubisky next year is going to make so much money. And he's going to be taken in somebody's top 12 quarterbacks. But what happened to the Bills last week? It was the Jags.
Yeah, I can't tell you what happened last week. I think, again, as you said, a lot of people will say that every team's allowed to have one off game. I think that was Buffalo's one off game.
And I don't agree.
Whether you agree or disagree with the philosophy there, which I also disagree, but I think that they just had an off week for whatever reason. Jacksonville had their number. I think that they'll bounce back here in a big way and mop the floor with Mr. White and the Jets. It's interesting to note that the Jets are not going back to their rookie quarterback. They're playing White over him.
Think about this, that they went crazy 2 times. Didn't Darnold prove anything to the Jets? You can find a quarterback. How's that working for Jordan Love? Jordan Love might not even be a backup quarterback. He might play. What's that new league that Fox is doing in the springtime or something? They're going to have a new league.
The XFL?
Yeah, the XFL. So all of a sudden, Jordan Love might have to play in that. It was like, don't forget, people, Johnny Manziel didn't just go away. He disappeared.
Right.
He tried to play Canadian football. He tried to play arena football. Johnny Manziel, just because you're drafted early doesn't make you a home run.
We got one more quick question here. James Washington or Russell Gage? I'm absolutely going Russell Gage in that out of those two.
Yes. I mean, and you said it when we were talking about the Falcons, or is it the Falcons? You said it that, Gage was going to. I mean, Gage is great.
Yes.
And I'm just still impressed. Matt Ryan is more talked about than Ryan Tannehill. There's a reason why the Titans are playing the way they are. They've got a great system. And a plug and play, I'm telling you, I love the Titans. I can't stop talking about them. And think about their name. It's Tit and S. Oh, never mind. Let's go. Just remember that.
Back to wrapping up that Buffalo and New York matchup. Obviously,
you know what? I want to say one thing before you go about Buffalo. Their biggest problem is they got too cocky. They have no running game.
Yes.
They have a designer running game. They have no running game. And how much are you crying this year? How high did you take Stephon Diggs in your draft this year to see him get 1 or 2 receptions a game? Come on. I hope it's not just Allen. But their running game, this Zach Moss and Devin Singletary, simple period, end of story, have not worked out. They should have gone and gotten. Pittsburgh was smart. Their first 4 picks were offense. And Pittsburgh was really smart, and they rebuilt without telling anybody. And that's why Pittsburgh, and yes, Ben, I apologize. These people, they know more than we do about what they're doing. Just like this Nagy thing that maybe he knew it would take this long a time. It's interesting.
Maybe he did. Only time will tell. If Fields continues to progress the way that he's played last week for the rest of the season, and they somehow maybe slide into the playoffs, as you said,
I don't want them to.
I don't want them to either.
I want them. If you slide in, it's like the NBA new system. If you're in the play-in game, no, I don't want to do the one and done or whatever, or slide in and play somebody that's going to kill me and embarrass me the next week. I want them to build off of this year. Look at who you have. You were mentioning some great names. And build on that for starting, because don't forget the season starts and they go to preseason 7 months.
Yeah,
why not do it?
Absolutely.
Why not do it?
We got a question from Kurt here in the chat. Better injury replacement, Howard or Bolden? I'm going to say Bolden just because I'd say stay away from Howard, but that's just me. What's your thoughts?
Well, Howard was big last week. But if I remember correctly, Bolden got the first. New England's got too many running backs for me to ever choose them. If there's a running back, and Philadelphia, it's interesting. Did they find a running game?
Philadelphia, they're so hard to judge on their running game because they've always done that running back by committee system. And
but if you're going up, isn't Bolden in a running back by committee system? And he's not even the number one running back. Yep. He's not. I would go Howard instead of Bolden. But, once again, I've proven to be wrong on almost everything I've said. So what's the difference? Like I tell people, you want to learn? Go opposite of what I say.
Let's go ahead and take a quick break and hear from one of our sponsors, and we'll be back with you guys in 60 seconds.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Darren, licensed real estate broker with Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group in Homer Glen. Are you looking to buy or sell? Have you been disappointed in the past? The Jonathan Darren team with Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group focuses on providing you with a concierge level of service during the process of buying or selling. We are a service-oriented team with a fresh and professional approach to selling real estate. Our goal is to combine knowledge, skills, and passion to exceed our clients' expectations, and most of all,
We truly care. We are a knowledgeable real estate team focused on offering expertise and innovative solutions for our clients. The Jonathan Darren team has 5 full-service real estate brokers and a dedicated full-time marketer servicing all of Chicagoland. We will customize a detailed plan around your timeline for a sale, purchase, investment, estate, or other needs. Real estate transactions can be stressful, but don't need to be. Let us handle it for you. Visit our website, homesbyjdt.com, or call 708-308-1938 today. Expect better in real estate. Choose the Jonathan Darren team.
And with that, we are back. Again, a quick word from our guys over at the Jonathan Darren team with the Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group. Real estate is hot. If you're looking to buy a home, be sure to reach out to John and his team. They're the best. They will take care of you in all of Illinois. Back to our matchups.
Go ahead.
If you're coming back to Chicago space, you definitely try them out.
All right.
But
all right.
With that being said,
you'll know more when you see me in 2 weeks. And
absolutely.
It's not for what you want. It's not for what you think. It's 90 here, snowing there. I want the snow. I miss it. Go ahead. Go to the next game. I'm an idiot.
We'll talk more off air. But with that being said, we got Cleveland and New England coming up together as our next matchup. What do you think about this game?
It's interesting. The question there should be, what do I think about New England? I mean, that's a great game, a fun game, maybe not the classic great game, but a fun game with Chubb not playing. It's a big difference. And with Chubb not playing, it's a big difference. And there's something about New England, and Belichick wants his due that Brady got all of the accolades last year. Belichick knows he's not going to win a Super Bowl. But if he takes that team and takes Mac Jones, who is playing, to not lose a game, I think they're a playoff team, and I'm going to take the Patriots at home over Cleveland.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there. I think that Mac Jones has progressed at a good level over these last few weeks. New England's sitting at 5-4, but they have played some tough games. As much as I think that Cleveland wants to push the pace and prove that they can be good without OBJ, it's not going to be this week. I think that Mac Jones and the Patriots are going to come out and get it done this week. And
the defense, they're not going to lose at home to that punk. And damn well Belichick would call him a punk on Cleveland. And, it's just as simple as that. And did Mac Jones prove one thing? When you play for a system, you learn how sorry is a team that was on everybody's Super Bowl list, and I never knew why. How sorry is the 49ers that they didn't take Mac Jones instead of Trey Lance?
I think the 49ers are just fine where they're at with Jimmy G and Trey Lance.
They're not now. They're not in the playoff picture, and that was a Super Bowl pick, not by me, but
you're not wrong. I don't know. The 49ers, they can catch lightning in a bottle every once in a while. They just can't string it together. And I think that you've got a coach over there in Kyle Shanahan who a lot of people give high praise to, but I think as he progresses in his career, he's being figured out and needs to do some more things offensively with their scheme, change some things up schematically to be successful, and he just hasn't done it. He doesn't like Brandon Ayuk for some reason. He doesn't want to get that guy the ball, and maybe he can't pronounce his last name. How do we know? So, maybe that's what it is.
And he's got a top 10 receiver on the other side in Deebo Samuel.
Absolutely. I don't get what it is. Jimmy G's not the answer. I've always said that he's not a guy that's going to be a franchise quarterback, in my opinion. I think Bill Belichick could have turned him into a franchise quarterback for his system, but I don't think that Jimmy G's in San Francisco next year. I think he's on a bench somewhere after this season.
No. And by the way, if they lose, they're the Monday night game, right? The 49ers and the Rams. Monday night.
That's correct.
Yeah. I think if Jimmy G loses if you go look at the standings, it'll really hurt the 49ers. I think for the rest of the year, you'll see Lance come in because they know they got to get him some rep before next year.
I would agree. The next game that we got coming up on the schedule, two teams with losing records, the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Indianapolis Colts. Although Indy's 4-5, Jacksonville's sitting at 2-6.
It's so hard not to like the Indianapolis Colts. I mean,
I like Jonathan Taylor for sure. That kid's just
Jonathan
a machine.
Taylor can fly. I love Pittman, and you know what?
Yeah.
Wentz is having another decent year, and on that game, I'd go with the Colts, but I would definitely play Wentz. I would definitely play, and I'm not saying play him over Mahomes. I'm saying Wentz.
Right.
Wentz is good. I love Jonathan. If you're not playing Jonathan Taylor, if you're waiting for Tarbill or me or even Tyler typing in, if you're waiting for us to tell you to play Jonathan Taylor and you're thinking about it, you're an idiot. Simple period.
Absolutely.
If Jonathan Taylor is on your team and not your starting running backs, and one of your starting running backs, you're an idiot. Why are you even listening for help?
I agree exactly there. I mean, there's obviously some players that are just locks that we don't need to discuss because it's implied that you would play them. And Jonathan Taylor's one of them. The guy's an absolute workhorse week in and week out, and he's fun to watch.
He came from a college that you got to start looking at all these young guys when they came from great college programs, and you can never knock Wisconsin as a program. Maybe they didn't win enough and everything else, but boy, oh boy, because he had a decent rookie year, and this, if I'm correct, is his third year, and oh my God, and he probably went 6th or 7th or 8th, and next year, I'm already thinking about next year because I'm out of it this year. I'm already thinking, is Saquon Barkley going to come back next year and screw us all up? And at the end of the day, to go to who they're playing this week, Jacksonville, I'm still waiting for, and by the way, what's his name? Robinson is questionable, a game-time decision.
Yes, so, he is.
Jacksonville's got nothing, and Trevor Lawrence hasn't impressed me yet. We'll see. That team's not ready. I feel sorry for Trevor Lawrence. That's the problem where we talked about earlier in the show. It's a product. You work for the NFL, Aaron Rodgers. You don't work for yourself. And the problem here is these poor, great prospects like Lawrence gets drafted by the worst team in football, with now a college coach that nobody respects and everything else. And, going there for one season might truly screw him up for his entire career.
Yeah, you're not wrong, especially when you're being coached by Mr. Bump and Grind, Urban Meyer over there.
Not that there's anything wrong with bump and grind, but if you're Joe Biden or the coach, you don't go there, and that's
right. Moving to our next matchup, we've got the Minnesota Vikings and the Los Angeles Chargers. I personally don't think this game's close. I think Justin Herbert and the Chargers thrash on the Minnesota Vikings.
Well, now they're screwed. I haven't. I almost said read. This week, have you read anything? I heard about Dalvin Cook and being accused, but that's the new thing for every woman to accuse somebody. I mean, and if she's
I did.
So what have you seen? Is he going to play?
I think it's going to be a decision that the team's handling internally. I would almost stay away from him until for sure one way or another how it's going to go. But I did see some photos as well as some messages that surfaced online, and whether it is true or not will come out in due time, but not a good look for another top NFL star.
No, and then I guess it comes because speaking of the Vikings, Kirk Cousins is only the number 3 highest paid quarterback. Think about what I just said. Tannehill and Cousins make more money a year than Tom Brady.
Yeah, but you have to remember that Tom Brady took a team-friendly deal to help retain starters in Tampa Bay as well.
That's why he's a quality guy. And
Yes.
I don't understand anybody who doesn't like him. I mean, if you don't like him, you don't like him because you're jealous of him. He's a good-looking guy. He's won 7 Super Bowls. He's been in the league with only one major injury his entire career.
Our guy Tyler's chiming in saying that Dalvin Cook is
Cook.
indeed active. Okay.
And Tom Brady then turns around, besides all of this, does a thing marrying a supermodel that,
Giselle.
oh my God, give me a break. Can you have a better life? I mean, son, you can't even be jealous of that guy. He's got it all. He's got movie star looks, that jaw. Okay, I know I'm starting to sound like that linebacker on Navy. No, I'm only kidding. Okay, do we have any more?
Do we have any more games? We do have a few
streamers. Okay.
We do have a few more games to run through quickly, but we'll make it quick. I know you've got a time limit.
I can't, I'm an old man. I got to pee. I can't see. I'll fall down the stairs. I do the show because I love Tyler, and Fat Mike. And
we've got the 8-1 Arizona Cardinals playing the Carolina Panthers.
I do have to ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Now that you just said it, the starting quarterback I never even heard of. They don't even think Cam Newton will be active for the game. Yeah.
Walker is the starting quarterback.
Are you going to be unhappy as a football fan? Because most importantly, we all here at the 1252 Sports Entertainment Network, we all love our football. We all
Absolutely.
love football. I'm not going to be happy. I don't know why. I need convincing. I'm not going to be happy if the Arizona Cardinals win a Super Bowl. And I don't know why. I did Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they're there this year. I think that's a team that's building and moving in the right direction, but I don't know.
And by the way, Chase Edmonds is out for a couple of weeks, speaking of the Cardinals, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so bye-bye Chase Edmonds. But my God, can we talk about maybe what's going to become the fantasy surprise player of the year, Connor?
James Conner, I tell you what, he's a guy that I picked up late. He's a guy that I picked up late thinking that he'd be a good bench or reserve player, and he's gotten me 15-plus in my league in the last 3 weeks. I can't go away from the guy.
He's leading the NFL in rushing touchdowns. I think he's got more than Henry.
I can't go away from the guy. Why would you? I mean,
and now
I was fortunate enough to pick him up, but
that Edmonds is out. You got to play him. So I mean, whoa. So they're going to be 9-1, and Connor's going to get another 2 or 3 touchdowns. Screw them.
And it looks like McCaffrey is going to be back this week.
Tired of him.
Yeah,
even though he did over.
He was back last week, yards. Right? But.
Yeah, and he had over 100 yards last week. But they don't score. And what happened to DJ Moore? I mean, once again, it's a team effort here, people.
Right.
And I mean, actually, Newton might win them a few games.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I think it'll be interesting to see what Cam can do when he comes back. Moving on to our next game, we've got one that our guy Tyler's going to want to chime in on, the Seattle Seahawks and the Green Bay Packers. So we already touched on Sharon Rodgers at the beginning of the show. But with that being said, you've got Seattle 3-5. Russell Wilson's playing.
And he hasn't played in 4 weeks.
Correct.
Nor practiced. And big undertaking. And Carson's going to who's their running back now?
Collins is their running back now. And Penny. It's going to be between Collins and Penny.
One of the biggest all-time number one bust of all time, Rashad Penny. But I mean, he's still got great receivers. And I go Packers. If Rodgers plays, the Packers, Aaron Rodgers, if there's anybody that can come back in a vengeance, it's Aaron Rodgers. He's going to give the big FU to Goodell and the entire NFL and just come back and knock them dead.
And put his mask on the sidelines and travel away from the team.
Right. And
yes.
Aaron and Dylan, I'd play both of them. And obviously Devontae Adams, and they're going to kill Seattle.
I don't know. You got Russell Wilson coming back. You still have DJ Metcalf, and you've got Tyler Lockett over there. I think it'll be a closer game than a lot of people think, but I do think ultimately the Packers pull that one out.
See, Tyler, I'm more a Packer fan than you think. Do I think Favre is a top 5 quarterback of all time? I mean, Rodgers, yes, and Favre might be there too. But Rodgers, yeah, I just didn't like the crap he pulled. Like the crap he pulled. It has nothing to do with the. Huh?
Go ahead. Sorry.
It has nothing to do with the crap he pulled.
Fair enough. I want to just rile Tyler's cage a little bit and say that I think Brett Favre is a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers.
You might be right.
But
and he had worse weapons.
That he did.
He had worse weapons.
Moving on to our next game, one that could be interesting, mainly because it's two very evenly skilled teams, in my opinion, as of late, I should say. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Las Vegas Raiders. Who would think that we'd be talking so negatively about Patrick Mahomes and his performance at this point in the season? I mean, teams are exposing Patrick Mahomes.
Half a billion guys. Half a billion. I mean, you don't have anybody on the other side of Tyreek Hill. You don't have a run game to speak of. And I'm not going with the Chiefs this week.
Now, I agree with you. I'm going Raiders in this game. Derek Carr
played phenomenally
last week, and I think he continues it. Obviously, you've got Josh Jacobs there to feed the ball to. Hunter Renfrow and Edwards.
Edwards this week is going to shine. I'm telling you.
Are both going to be strong this week.
Yeah.
But, yeah, ultimately, I think Las Vegas takes that one.
Chiefs don't make the playoffs.
And our last – no, I would agree. The Chiefs don't make the playoffs.
They might have the worst defense in the NFL.
They absolutely do have the worst defense in the NFL. Our last game of the week before we depart here is the Los Angeles Rams and the 49ers.
Not even a game. It's a college team playing a high school game.
Exactly.
I mean, the Rams, you know how high they are going to be as a team that the week after they're going to have OBJ probably on the sideline in clothes and talking to all his friends. And the week after, the Rams are done, and they're mad at themselves for the way they looked last week.
Yeah,
here we
absolutely.
go again. Everybody has that one game, right? Here we go again. And the 49ers they might be a myth.
They barely beat the Bears.
Them. Right. I say we. I don't mean you and me and Tyler and Fat Mike. I say the media in general. I don't even know why they had the 49ers in the conversation for the Super Bowl with the team they had around them.
Because Kyle Shanahan is an offensive genius, just like Matt Nagy.
You know what? Yeah, right. You're 100% right, Tarble. You're 100% right. Well, my friend, I'm hungry. I'm going to wish Tyler good luck. Tyler's had a very bad week. We won't talk about it. I think he gets out of prison in, 1 year, 2 years? And, and at the end of the day, we wish him well. And to you, my friend, thank you for being my cane.
Absolutely.
And everybody, I'm telling you, we might not be the smartest bunch, but who is? If we were gamblers, you're only smart after the fact. Just remember, what I say go the opposite, except about Tennessee. I love Tennessee. It's because I love Tit and S. Look at their name. It's Tit and S. It's unbelievable. Tarbill, you're the man of all time. Thank you, my friend.
Absolutely. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Be sure to catch Harry the Greek, Harry Berg, and his show coming up at 8 p.m. right here on 1252. It's a great
listen. You'll love it. And the strange thing is on Friday night, you got Fat Mike sitting on the beach, probably a pina colada in one hand, a beer in the other. He probably took a couple of cans of the Nick and Ivy and stuff. And he's sitting there with his with his earphones in, listening to us, and then Harry. That's his honeymoon. We love him. All
That's
right,
a hell of a
everybody
night.
Be well.
Everybody be well. Have a
this way.
good week. We'll see you next week right here on 1252 Sports Chicago.
Pray for my eyes to be better next week.